Chapter 335 Purple Golden Transformation. Seeing that Wang Dongge was trapped, Jiang Nanan didn't attack Yanfeng. Before this fight had started, she already knew her role. She was playing an auxiliary role. Her abilities were indeed unsuitable against these evil soul masters. That was why Jiang Nanan immediately activated her instant teleportation. Her third and fourth soul rings shone. Jiang Nanan immediately appeared within the graveyard and hugged Wang Dongge's slender waist. She had activated her invincible golden body as well, and thus the hexagram array in the graveyard couldn't harm her. Jiang Nanan flung Wang Dongge out. She also used her invincible golden body to jump backward out of the graveyard. Wang Dongge was furious. Her eyes looked very cold as her sixth soul ring lit up for the first time. A weird buzzing sound came from her body. Following this, a huge projection of the radiant butterfly goddess appeared behind her back. Wang Dongge looked even more ravishing with this projection behind her. Layers of golden light started to spread from her wings. Following this, she opened her wings. Her wings changed into countless streaks of flowing light and fused with her radiant butterfly goddess projection. In the next instant, the huge projection rose into the sky and instantly changed into a dazzling bluish gold light that flowed towards Yanfeng. Wang Dongge's sixth soul skill, the butterfly goddess dance. Yanfeng was stunned when he saw the butterfly goddess dance. The bone dragon's skull disappeared, replaced by a huge dragon tail. This tail whipped towards Wang Dongge's butterfly goddess dance. Not only this, but his fifth soul ring also shone. He mimicked a grabbing action towards Jiang Nanan. A huge bony claw appeared above Jiang Nanan without any warning. At this moment, Jiang Nanan had just leapt out from the graveyard. Even though she was warned by Huo Yuao's spiritual detection, Jiang Nanan couldn't dodge, as she had just used her instant teleportation. Shlicked. The claws slashed down and trapped Jiang Nanan. A terrifying sense of suppression restrained her. This was Yanfeng's fifth soul skill, Bony Claw Prison. This was his first 10,000-year soul skill, and thus it wasn't so simple. The Bony Claw Prison and the graveyard could counter auxiliary type soul skills. For example, Wang Dongge wasn't able to use instant teleportation in the graveyard earlier. From inside to outside, all skills were unable to be used. To defeat the Bony Claw Prison, Yanfeng had to be defeated first. The most frightening thing about his Bony Claw Prison was that it had a special effect called Absolute Defense. This Absolute Defense was mainly applicable to Yanfeng. The connotation of the word Absolute was that Yanfeng had to be defeated first before he would lose his connection to his Bony Claws. Otherwise, there was no way of overcoming them. Of course, there was another way, but the person trapped inside had to be stronger than Yanfeng. The flaw of the Bony Claw Prison was that it couldn't lock onto its opponent. It could only be unleashed based on his prediction of his opponent's movements. That was why the best way to deal with it was avoiding it. If Jiang Nanan hadn't used two soul skills consecutively and wasn't able to use another skill temporarily, she wouldn't be in such a dire state. But right now, she was trapped, and there was nothing she could do about it. Huo Yuao was already in front of the abomination. Lu Gengzhang's fifth soul skill also lit up. Evidently, he hated Huo Yuao. Something strange occurred. He opened his mouth wide in a very abnormal way. The edges of his lips were already at his ears. In front of him, a 3-meter wide and 2-meter tall bloody mouth formed from soul power bit towards Huo Yuao. The fangs in the mouth exuded a thick, poisonous gas. Although Huo Yuao didn't know the effect of this bite, he knew that it wasn't going to be pleasant. The advantage that the Tang Sect had earlier had completely diminished by now. They outnumbered their opponents 5-2, but they were still curbed. The abilities of evil soul masters were evidently very strong. However, Hikaiju suddenly demonstrated his strength at this moment. A beam of strong light descended from the sky. It was targeted towards Lu Gengzhang. The light was aimed at the huge head that seemed to have been formed using rotten flesh. The eye of fear was finally showing its strength. Not only this, but Hikaiju also fired his piercing cannon again. It was also targeted at Lu Gengzhang, specifically at the center of his body. Huo Yuao wasn't able to tell much about Lu Gengzhang's body, even with his spiritual detection. However, the core of the abomination's body should be within a specific region no matter how well Lu Gengzhang managed to conceal it. Attacking this core would enable Huo Yuao to hurt Lu Gengzhang. Indeed, the attacks from the air and the ground struck at the same time. Lu Gengzhang knew things were going badly. He couldn't be bothered with Huo Yuao now, and quickly retreated. He lifted his right arm to block his head. Hikaiju's double attack came from two class 7 soul tools. No matter how defensively strong Lu Gengzhang thought he was, he didn't dare to resist the attacks forcefully with his vitals. A layer of icy armor suddenly appeared on Huo Yuao's body. It was the Ice Empress armor. At the same time, a streak of icy azure light shone from his backbone. It was another skill of the Ice Empress Wrath. The bloody mouth and the pale white hook were frozen in midair. Huo Yuao took this opportunity to free himself. As Lu Gengzhang was avoiding Hikaiju's attacks, he rolled and covered his vital spot. The piercing cannon strike only brushed against his body and left a huge wound, while the Eye of Fear penetrated his right arm. Lu Gengzhang's body started to twitch as the wounds appeared. His fat started to scatter everywhere, but no blood flowed out. It was as if his body were only made of fat. Huo Yuao was temporarily relieved of his crisis. However, Wang Dongge had also started to clash against Yanfeng on the other side. Butterfly Goddess Dance. This was the strongest soul skill that Wang Dongge could unleash right now on her own. Against the Bone Dragon's tail, the Butterfly Goddess opened her wings deftly in the air. After that, she seemed to freeze in the air and allowed the Bone Dragon's tail to whip her. As the Bone Dragon's tail whipped her, the image of the Butterfly Goddess scattered to form many tiny butterfly goddesses that stuck to the tail. A bluish gold light immediately spread to every corner of Yanfeng's body, and he was turned into that same color. Following this, the Butterfly Goddess appeared once again. This time, she surfaced behind Yanfeng. Yanfeng was frightened. He was so horrified that his expression changed. He stopped conserving his powers. His seventh soul ring shone. Boom, 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 boom. 7 consecutive booms instantly rang out. Every time a boom was heard, the bluish gold light on his body would form a butterfly. 7 butterfly projections were formed in the air, each with a different form. It was as if a huge golden butterfly had started dancing in the air. Yanfeng's tragic screams sounded amidst the booms. Wang Dongge had already landed at this point. As she unleashed her butterfly goddess dance, she was unable to use her radiant butterfly goddess. However, a low-pitched and infuriated dragon roar sounded at this moment. At the core of the explosions, the goddess of light that was dancing in the air was crushed. A huge figure seemed to crawl out from another world. It was a huge bone dragon, a complete bone dragon. It was more than 15 meters long, and its wings were around 10 meters across. Its huge figure was formed entirely out of pale white bones. However, it exuded a strong icy blue glow from its body. The light on its skull was the strongest. There were deep blue flames in its eyes that carried the fury of this bone dragon. Yanfeng was still too careless. He hadn't expected Wang Dongge's sixth soul skill to be so destructive. When he was possessed by the butterfly goddess dance, he felt an indescribable force seeping into his body. After that, the explosions occurred. Even his own martial soul was on the verge of being torn apart by the terrifying explosive force. Under such a circumstance, he didn't dare to hesitate. He immediately unleashed his strongest soul skill. It was his martial soul true body. His martial soul true body appeared. It was a bone dragon true body. Yanfeng's bone dragon naturally couldn't compare to a real bone dragon. Whether it was in terms of size or strength, there were still great differences. However, he only had just come into the ability to activate his martial soul true body. As his cultivation increased, the abilities of his bone dragon would also grow. However, even this basic bone dragon was still very mighty. Wang Dongge's light of the butterfly goddess and butterfly goddess slash dissipated when they landed on the bone dragon. This was one ability that the bone dragon possessed, dissipating soul power. Its huge figure moved in the air, and it unleashed its dragon's breath towards Wang Dongge. Wang Dongge quickly used her instant teleportation and returned to Huo Yuao's side. The bone dragon didn't pursue her, but instead suddenly retracted its wings. In the next moment, it charged forward in the air. Second senior, be careful. Huo Yuao couldn't help but shout even though he could use his spiritual detection to warn Hikaiju. At this moment, Shu Sanchi broke out of the ice and blocked the bone dragon's charge with his shield. Bang, it was a forceful clash. His shield broke, and he was thrown back. Just like Yanfeng had thought, his bone dragon was so strong that he could challenge an ordinary soul Douluo with his 7-ring soul sage cultivation. He couldn't be so easily blocked by Shu Sanchi. The shield of the swan with turtle was instantly crushed. Shu Sanchi was also flung back, spitting blood as he flew through the air. Sanchi. Jiang Nanan was screaming in pain as she was stuck in the bony claw prison. She attacked the prison with all her might, but she still couldn't escape. However, Shu Sanchi's block also caused the bone dragon to stall a little. This gave K2 enough time to react. He unleashed his protective barrier, an invincible barrier without any hesitation. At the same time, he also lifted two class 6 soul cannons on his shoulders. He attacked with everything he had, but Yan Feng was too strong. In fact, his individual abilities were even superior to Tang Ya's. It was just Tang Yu was very special to the Holy Ghost Church. That was why his status was slightly lower than hers. K2's attacks didn't have any effect on him. Although he was stalled momentarily, he crashed ferociously into K2's protective barrier in the next moment. Bang! K2 also flew back. However, he was quite fortunate compared to Shu Sanchi. His invincible barrier was crushed, but managed to resist the charge of the bone dragon. His protective barrier was on the verge of breaking as he was also flung backward. It was important to know that his protective soul barrier was class 7. If it were class 6, he might even be in a worse state compared to Shu Sanchi. Boom! At this moment, a thunderous boom sounded in the sky, and the suppressed gloomy clouds seemed to be on the verge of erupting. You're all dead. The panting Lu Gengjang shouted in a furious and violent manner. He rose again and charged towards Hua Yuao. Yan Feng shot out his dragon's breath towards K2 and froze him into a brick of ice even though he was protected by his protective barrier. Yan Feng didn't pursue Shu Sanchi, but instead unleashed his dragon's breath towards the Eye of Fear in the sky. This threat in the sky had to be removed. Boom! The Eye of Fear was destroyed. The Tang Sect, which had perfect coordination every time, lost their advantage at this moment. Xiao gritted her teeth and did her best to restrain the Skeleton King. This was the most she could do. The Abomination and Bone Dragon were too strong. If she let the Skeleton King out, they were bound to lose. Jiang Nanan was trapped by the Bony Claw prison and couldn't move. On the other side, Shu Sanchi was critically hurt and couldn't get up after being thrown back. K2 was also frozen. The only ones who could still fight were Hua Yuao and Wang Donga. Their opponents were Lu Gengjang, who was like an injured wild beast, and Yan Feng, who was still in his bone dragon state. The Tang Sectors lost. All the spectators had this same thought in their mind. Lu Gengjang roared into the sky. As he roared, fat started to ooze from his body. Although this fat wasn't his own soul power, it was still energy that he had accumulated. It appeared very disgusting, but it was very important to him. He had obtained it through devouring corpses. Today's setback was quite great for Lu Gengjang. Hua Yuao's chest flashed with light. He slid backward. It was the effect of a soul thruster on his chest. With the propulsion from his soul thruster, he advanced towards Wang Donga behind him. Yan Feng fluttered his wings after getting rid of the Eye of Fear. The entire stage was in chaos. Yan Feng flew towards Hua Yuao and Wang Donga. The stage was only 100 meters in diameter, and Yan Feng's body was 15 meters long. As he fluttered his wings, he quickly bore down on Hua Yuao and Wang Donga in a suppressive manner. He also didn't forget to unleash his dragon's breath at Xiao. As long as Xiao's 3 cauldrons were overcome, Tang Dai could be released. The combination of the 3 evil soul masters would ensure their victory. Even though they were winning, Yan Feng still remained very calm. The mysterious imperial tutor nodded his head in approval as he saw this. They couldn't be in a more dire situation. However, Hua Yuao still remained very calm. His eyes had turned completely golden at this moment. Even his body was covered by a layer of golden light. From the looks of it, he almost seemed to have been sculpted from gold right now. His wheelchair was also shining with the same golden glow. An awe-inspiring figure suddenly surfaced behind Hua Yuao. It was a tall man. As it was only a projection, the looks of this man couldn't be clearly seen. He mimicked a smacking action, and an aura that resembled that of the sovereign's descent was released, along with the streak of golden light. The dragon's breath was intercepted by the streak of golden light, and both entities disappeared. Hua Yuao's vertical eye opened as he exploited this opportunity. Following this, the illusory figure behind him turned into a huge eye. It also had a vertical pupil, but it was silver. White salva level of a body soul's second awakening. In the spectator's stand, there were a few exclamations from different areas. The sudden appearance of this white salva vertical pupil shook all the soul masters who understood body souls. Yes, it was a second awakening of the white salva level. This was one of Hua Yuao's trump cards. In the previous few rounds of the tournament, he had not used it no matter how tough he found things. It was only at this moment that he used it as they were on the verge of being eliminated. His teammates were in life and death situations, and he had no choice but to reveal his greatest trump card. All of Hua Yuao's soul rings disappeared as a silvery white light flashed. His body also slowly drifted up. He drifted into midair. He couldn't walk, so only drifted there. But since he hung in midair, he currently didn't appear any different from a normal person. The huge silver eye drifted forward and engulfed his body. At that instant, the golden light released by his Eye of Destiny fused with the silver eye. As gold and silver intersected, a distorted glow started to spread with his body at the center. When Yan Feng saw the silver eye behind Hua Yuao, he was shocked. One thought arose in his mind. Is this the second awakening of his body soul? However, isn't this something that only members of the body sect can do? Don't tell me Hua Yuao is a spy from the body sect in Shrek Academy. As he thought of all this, the light rays in front of him distorted. Yan Feng fluttered his wings and wanted to annihilate Hua Yuao. However, his surroundings only rippled with distorted waves. Wang Donga had already stuck close to Hua Yuao's back, and now she wrapped her arms under his. She clasped her hands together in front of his chest. Her wings opened wide behind her back. Even she entered a miraculous state at this moment. The bone dragon jerked and opened its wings. A thick icy blue glow started to expand with his body at the center. He was trying to disperse the distorted lights. However, the distorted rays instead became clearer and clearer. Following this, Yan Feng heard a deafening explosion. Boom. Ah. As the explosion rang out, Lu Gengjang screamed tragically. How is this possible? What did he do to Lu Gengjang? Yan Feng was shocked. He was very confident in Lu Gengjang's defensive prowess. Lu Gengjang was only hurt even after being hit 3 times by 2 class 7 soul tools. Could Hua Yuao even hurt Lu Gengjang? It was unbelievable. However, the truth was that Hua Yuao had managed to so. The spectators could certainly tell that Hua Yuao had hurt Lu Gengjang. Hua Yuao's body shifted instantly as he was hugged by Wang Donga. Following this, Hua Yuao's body shone with bright white light. After this, he raised his left arm. His left hand opened wide, then mimicked a closing action. Following this, a loud boom sounded behind Lu Gengjang's back. The back half of his body was blown apart. Suddenly, his fat scattered. At least a third of Lu Gengjang's body had been blown away. His disgusting fat was scattered all over the arena. He was also flung into the air as he screamed, and he crashed down towards Yan Feng. Hua Yuao's vertical eye flashed once again. The air on the stage distorted even more. This time, even the spectators couldn't see things clearly. He can use his left arm. Has he been tricking us all this while? In the resting area, the scorpion tiger Douluo looked very pale as he watched everything. Yes, Hua Yuao could use his left arm. However, he hadn't tricked anyone. It was because his left arm had just recovered a few days ago. He had relied on the pure distillate to cultivate as he absorbed the origin energy of ultimate ice at a faster speed than before. He absorbed a little every day. In this way, his cultivation increased at a significant speed, and the origin energy of ultimate ice in his left arm greatly decreased. After the origin energy had been completely neutralized in his left arm had naturally recovered. Earlier in the battle, Lu Gengjang had crashed down on Hua Yuao and was smacked aside by Hua Yuao's palm. Hua Yuao had also exploited the impact force to slide backwards. To all the spectators, that was the only time the two of them had clashed. However, no one had noticed Hua Yuao's transformations, as they were distracted by Lu Gengjang. Hua Yuao's palm was a fusion between his fighting technique, the goddess of light, and the strength of the Snow Empress spirit. After he unleashed that palm, his attacks evidently slowed down. That was because he needed some time to adjust after the heavy exertion. The Snow Empress 3 ultimate techniques, Empress Palm, Snowless Glacier. It was a snowless glacier fused with the goddess of light. The palm had seemed very simple, but it had compressed the ultimate ice within it. The origin energy of ultimate ice brought a lot of trouble to Hua Yuao. However, there were benefits alongside the problems. The temperature of his ultimate ice was even lower now than it had been in the past. Only the core of the abomination belonged to Lu Gengjang. When he was struck by Hua Yuao's palm earlier, he felt his hip and back turning numb. However, his defense was very strong. The chill from the snowless glacier couldn't penetrate the many layers of his fat to freeze his heart. However, the snowless glacier could freeze his fat. The ultimate chill spread at a frightening speed, and gradually froze huge lumps of fat on Lu Gengjang's body. Just as Hua Yuao unleashed the second awakening of his body soul, he also lifted his left hand. Ice explosion technique. Within a set region, all frozen matter would be affected by the ice explosion technique. Even though Hua Yuao didn't infuse the ice explosion technique into the abomination's soul power, it was enough that he blew the frozen fat apart. This attack immediately This attack immediately hurt Lu Gengjang critically. Yan Feng could finally see that the surrounding, distorted lights had turned clearer amidst this deafening explosion. He saw with his own eyes that lumps and lumps of fat were scattered everywhere. Lu Gengjang was screaming tragically as he was flung away, while Huo Yuao and Wang Donga were charging at him from the sides. An intense dark gold light turned into a huge light blade, and this blade slashed towards Lu Gengjang's battered body. Yan Feng's bone dragon let out a hoarse draconic roar. His eyes were filled with spirit fire that burned very strongly. Icy blue light surrounded his body and instantly converted into a huge current that attacked Huo Yuao and Wang Donga. This icy blue current was more than 5 meters in diameter. From the looks of it, it was like a huge ice beam. The entire stage was covered by a layer of frost at this point. Thunder rumbled in the skies and storms raged. Torrential rain descended. There was a massive boom as a huge ice sculpture suddenly appeared on the stage. Yan Feng's attack wasn't a joke. In his martial soul true body state as the bone dragon, his fighting strength was immense. He was definitely the most terrifying person in this tournament. When the huge ice sculpture was frozen, it turned into ice powder that scattered. The evil power of ice was filled with the hatred and destructive intent of an avenging spirit. After being struck, the target was instantly destroyed. It was over. Yan Feng's bone dragon revealed an arrogant look. However, the arrogance turned into shock in the next instant. The surrounding lights dispersed, and a figure drifted in the air not far away from him. How is this possible? They should have been killed by my breath of extermination. Why are they still here? Yan Feng only saw Wang Donga helping Huo Yuao remain aloft. Following this, he discovered that the abomination that Lu Gengjang had changed into had disappeared. The disgusting fat was also gone. The rest of the stage was normal, but his teammate was no longer around. Sadness and disbelief. Huo Yuao smiled and said to Yan Feng, "You were very strong when you killed your own teammate." Yan Feng's heart sank. He finally realized what had happened. How did you do it? When I was in my martial soul true body, my spiritual power was burning as the spirit fire. It causes many people's spiritual control to lose effect. Your cultivation is so far away from mine. How is it possible? Yan Feng finally understood. Just earlier, he had been affected somehow by Huo Yuao, and thought Lu Gengjang was Huo Yuao and Wang Donga. However, he was still shocked by how Huo Yuao managed to trick him. Huo Yuao said, "Do you think I'll tell you?" Yan Feng's bone dragon's head lifted, and he said coldly, "You killed another of my teammates. I'll cultivate your soul for 49 days, and let you suffer the most painful torture in this world before I let you die." Huo Yuao smiled. "If you can." Yan Feng snorted. "The gap in our abilities can't be made up so easily. If I'm not wrong, your spiritual power must have been depleted quite a lot after my misjudgment earlier. With the defensive prowess of my martial soul true body, your attacks can't possibly overcome my defenses. That's why you didn't continue to use your spiritual power to interfere with me. You are bound to lose this fight. Is that so? Let's try then." Huo Yuao's eyes flashed with a cold look. His vertical eye shone again, and a streak of golden light suddenly descended from the sky, landing accurately on Yan Feng. Suddenly, Yan Feng felt his heart skip a beat, and an extremely weird feeling engulfed his body. It was like everything around him had turned dark. What skill is this? It clearly hasn't affected me, but why do I feel so discomforted? Kill him, kill him. A wild thought arose in Yan Feng's head. The icy blue lights around him became stronger, and even his pale white bones turned icy blue. There was only one thought in his head. He wanted to kill Huo Yuao. Around Huo Yuao's body, the silver lights emitted by his silver vertical pupil became stronger. Not only this, but Wang Donga also started to experience weird changes. The stage suddenly lit up without any warning. A halo flashing with a whitish gold glow had spread from Huo Yuao's body. Following this, the entire stage lit up with a beam of gold and silver light. This beam of light appeared too suddenly, and it was also very strong and blinding. Along with the sudden storms and rain, the spectators were getting very excited. However, no one could tell what was happening on stage right now. The beam of light only lasted for an instant before it disappeared. However, something shocking appeared on the stage. The bone dragon, who was drifting in midair earlier and was ready to kill Huo Yuao and Wang Donga as it unleashed all its soul power, crashed forcefully to the ground. A deafening boom reverberated out at the impact. Following this, the light from Huo Yuao's vertical eye disappeared. Wang Donga's wings closed up and engulfed him. A bright golden light rose. A low-pitched dragon roar and pleasant singing voice sounded at almost the same time. Golden light suddenly separated from the front and back of Huo Yuao's body. In midair, he turned into 3 figures. In front of his actual body was the golden goddess of light. Behind him, there was also another golden goddess of light. The two ravishing, golden figures surfaced in front of and behind Huo Yuao just like that. They formed a weird image in the air. It was a pity that no one could clearly see the looks in the eyes of these two figures. They wore very complex looks, but they weren't identical. 2 streaks of golden light shot towards the central figure. From the central figure, a white glow and an azure green glow surfaced at the same time. Golden, white, azure green, blue, and purple. These dazzling glows started to rise from the central figure at the same time. A purplish gold halo also surfaced beneath that figure. It wasn't a soul ring, but a halo with elegant floral patterns. This halo included patterns of a dragon's totem, patterns of the radiant butterfly goddess totem, a ravishing lady, a mysterious pupil, and a fat worm, as well as a scorpion that flashed with an azure light. When these light patterns came together, they formed a complex and mysterious halo. Under the illumination of this halo, a figure resurfaced in the air. It was a slender man covered with purplish gold armor. The armor wasn't made of metal, but some sort of shiny and transparent gemstone. The purplish gold light was shining forth from the armor. He had a pair of special wings behind him. They weren't made of feathers, and didn't resemble butterfly wings either. They had adopted the structure of wings that seemed to belong to some kind of ancient, sacred dragon. While the man wore armor, he didn't have a helmet. His black hair flowed down behind his shoulders. On his forehead, there was a bright purplish gold vertical eye. Upon closer inspection, the reflection of the principles of heaven and earth could be seen in his eye. The man didn't resemble anyone. He didn't look like Wang Donga or Huo Yuao. His handsomeness was filled with a sense of holiness. The armor scales were rhombic, and they refracted purplish gold rays under the illumination of the purplish gold glow. Along with the purplish gold halo beneath the man's feet, he looked magnificent. He wasn't holding any weapons, but there was a huge dragon revolving around his body. He shut his eyes, but the vertical eye on his forehead remained open. What exactly was this? Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.